Anthony said the other day that things have been so good since he arrived in Oklahoma City, he felt born again. And last night, well, he looked like it. In a game where James Harden, Chris Paul, and Paul George were all also making their preseason debuts, it was Melo who stood out, dropping 19 points in just 20 minutes. Now, I should note, Russell Westbrook didn't play last night. It'll be interesting to see if Melo is able to take over a game like that once Russ is also back on the floor. But at least for one evening, we got to see Carmelo without all that weight he'd been carrying around Madison Square Garden these past few seasons, and the beginning of what he might look like in this next phase of his career. You know, there's been a lot of conversation this month over which Carmelo Anthony is going to show up in OKC. We've had, of course, the jokes about Hoodie Melo. There's also been speculation about Olympic Melo, since he's surrounded by talent in OKC the same way he is on those Olympic teams. Now, personally, I'd say that comparison only partially holds. Sure, Melo shines during the Olympics because his game does improve with more talent around him. But also, hey, the international game has a three-point line that's closer in, and also fewer elite wing defenders out there from other countries. Anthony himself has brought up Syracuse Melo, noting that, quote, "I feel like I'm in college again here, in a city with a college feel." I mean, that's charming. And hey, one of Melo's old Syracuse coaches now works in the Thunder front office. But come on, we all know Melo is not 18 anymore. I doubt we're going to see the same player who won the NCAA title now just roaming the plains of Oklahoma. The truth is this: Hoodie Melo, Olympic Melo, Syracuse Melo, even Knicks or Nuggets, or my favorite, Bodega Bathrobe Melo.
Love that Melo.
None of them should be what Anthony is shooting for here. To succeed on this Thunder team, he is going to need to become a whole new kind of Carmelo, a player who sacrifices more than he's used to, a lethal third option, whose spot-up shooting can prove deadly if he is willing to be patient. Remember, last year, Melo's usage rate was among the NBA's top 20 players. That is going to change significantly this season. And how he handles that, not just at the beginning when everything is exciting and fun, but in the cold, dull slog that comes in the middle of the season, that is going to be the true test of whether a new Melo has really been born. Here's hoping it works out, because Thunder Melo, that could really be someone special. Byron, what are your expectations for Melo this season, or do you think he can pull out one of the old Melos?
I don't know if he can pull out one of the old Melos. I am happy for Carmelo, first of all, to be able to go to another situation and feel reborn again and all happy, and it's like the first week of marriage, where he is right now. Everything is great right now, you know what I mean? Everything is fantastic. But you're right, Rachel, he's going to have to understand that he's going to be the third wheel. And if he's willing to accept that position, accept that role, this team can be very exciting to watch, and they can have an impact in the postseason. But if he's not, then there's going to be problems. And one player that comes to mind when I look at his situation right now and where he's come from is Mark Aguirre. Way back in the day, Mark Aguirre was one of the best small forwards in the game, scoring 25, 26, 27 a night. Then he gets traded to Detroit, and you're with a team with Isaiah, Joe Dumars, and all these other great players, and he had to sacrifice a bit of his game to be able to fit into that situation. What happened? They won a championship. So he was willing to say, listen, I know I'm not the old Mark Aguirre. I'm willing to take a back seat. If you guys need me, let me know. I'll be ready and willing to do whatever needs to be done. And if he's willing to do that, take a page out of Mark Aguirre's book, then I think this team is going to be successful this year.
One of the greatest trades of the 80s, that trade for Mark Aguirre.
I agree.
When we went through all those highlights, when you were going through all the different Melos, all the highlights looked the same. They were all Melo taking mid-range shots. Just like he did last night. He hit a couple of mid-range shots. I know Melo is going to make mid-range shots for the Thunder. That's what that's what he does. I know he's going to have some great scoring nights. But the way the Thunder and the way the West are constructed, there's going to be so many nights this year where it's going to be a heads-up, could go either direction game with 5 minutes to go. And that's when we're going to find out whether Melo is different, whether or not he's willing to play a role, dive on the ground for a loose ball, get up in somebody's face and play good defense, pass the ball and set somebody up. He's already said he's going to play power forward, which is where he should have been playing in New York, and that is a good step in the right direction.
And that's a step toward Olympic Melo.
Exactly, for sure.
Right.
But your points on Olympic Melo being different are exactly accurate.
Yeah, and look, our friend Royce Young, who works in Oklahoma City, pointed out, he said it's going to be the storyline of the whole season. Who takes the last shot in the last 5 minutes? Then, of course, he said, just kidding, it's going to be Russ. But working that out, I mean, like, as a coach, how do you work with Melo throughout the season to get him to adjust in all these ways that we're talking about?
Well, I mean, the number one thing is having him feel comfortable with Russ and Paul. All those guys got to make him feel comfortable, not just the coach. You know, and Melo's played this game his whole entire life, so he's going to be comfortable on the basketball court. I agree with you guys as far as when it comes to the last 5 or 6 minutes of a game, and Melo's so used to having the ball in his hands. And I think it's going to be up to Russ to say, you know what, it is Melo's night.
Sometimes.
You know, he's been hot tonight. We got to go to him. But it's Paul's night tonight. He's got to be willing to accept that. And then with Russ, we also know it's going to be his night a lot of nights too, where he's just going to take over the game. And from a coaching standpoint, you just got to realize who's hot. And it can't be egos involved in it. It's all about winning. So if you're hot, hey, we're going to go to you. If you're not, we're going to go somewhere else. And you got to be willing to live with that.